Question 28 is a critical thinking question, and we can jump to the end and see we're being asked which of the following is an assumption underlying the argument. So I'll read through the argument. Recent theories about the causes of cancer have held that most cancers are caused by internal factors, the result of inevitable mistakes in the human body, rather than anything environmental. This would seem to imply that whether or not a person develops cancer is entirely out of his or her control. What a person does in terms of lifestyle choices is irrelevant. And yet the latest high-profile study has strongly challenged this. It estimates that between 70 and 90% of most widespread cancers have extrinsic causes, such as ultraviolet radiation, pollution, or stress. If this study is to be believed, then whether or not you develop some cancers is no longer something you can just blame on your biology, but is to a significant extent within your own control. So, before we go through the potential assumptions, let's quickly summarise the argument. So, recent theories suggest cancers are caused by internal factors, which has the implication of things being outside of one's control, because of lifestyle choices being irrelevant. The latest study suggests that 70 to 90% are caused by extrinsic causes. Therefore, if you believe the study, you can't blame your biology for these internal factors, it's actually all within your control. So, let's go through the options. Option A suggests the assumption is that the latest study is more accurate than the previously accepted theories. Now, although there is this dynamic of contradiction between the recent theories and the latest study, this isn't necessarily an assumption underlying the argument, because the last line comes with a qualification, if this study is to be believed. So it isn't underlying the entire argument, it's just a possible interpretation. Option B says the assumption is that the risk of cancer is simply down to extrinsic factors. Now, this isn't a claim made anywhere in the argument. Even the study only claims a 70 to 90% causation, so we can discount this. Now, option C is that the assumption is that there are no ways of preventing the body from making cancer-causing mistakes. Now, is this really an assumption? This appears to come from this line here, where internal factors cause inevitable mistakes in the human body. But this appears to be the author's summary of the recent theories, rather than any sort of basis for the entire argument. Also, the argument of prevention isn't really expanded upon anywhere in the piece. I mean, there's nothing to suggest that the environmental causes might also be prevented from causing cancer-causing mistakes. And this is what the whole significant extent in your control could be talking about. So we can discount this answer. Now we're left with option D, which says the assumption is that people have some control over influence of extrinsic factors, such as stress or pollution. This comes from this line here, where it claims that to a significant extent it's in your control whether you develop some cancers, because of the preponderance of these extrinsic causes, which come 70-90% of all causes of cancer. Even though the ones cited, I mean, let's take pollution for an example. Whether you spent the first 5 years of your life in a bustling urban area or in the countryside isn't necessarily in your control, so this undermines the entire argument made. So we can say our answer is D.